Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump. I am your host, Jose Galison. No kitty of the day today, but I do have a special guest. Now, if you like seeing my hot takes Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern, that's the goal. Then, or if you just like seeing the kitty of the day, then be sure to hit that subscribe button and be sure to hit that bell for notifications. We'll see you in the show.
Beautiful thing right now.
Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day. I'm alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to the white light.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
It's crazy evil.
Good morning. Welcome back to the show, Ken Silva. Real quick, guys, let me know if you're getting the stream on Rumble and on Twitter. I just realized I made a boo-boo and I screwed. I only sent it to YouTube. But then literally mid-intro, I was able to fix it up, and I think we're good. I was on the fly able to set up the streams for X and Rumble. So I think we should be good, so let me know if we are. But we have the great Ken Silva joining us today. We have plenty to talk about. We have the J6 Pipe Bomb Dud. I mean, we've been tracking that on the show progressively as it goes along, but I knew eventually I was going to have to bring Ken on and just kind of... And it makes sense. I don't know if it would say this is necessarily the final death nail, but perhaps. We'll be talking Furry Assassins, and we'll just probably kind of wrap that up into general FBI incompetence and be finishing on Glowie death squads. They're coming after our Nubian queen, and we must protect her. All that and more with Ken Silva. Pleasure to have you back on the show, bud.
Yeah, these are all my favorite topics, so it's really good to be with you this morning.
Yeah, well, as we do with this show, we usually start with some icebreaker type content to go into foreign policy. We're going to boot the foreign policy to the back for today, but I'm going to, for a little fun, we're going to start off with a couple icebreaker things. I figured this first one we're going to watch is more like, I know this is a visual representation of like what I think the reality is when people say things like, oh, people really care about these kitchen table issues. They don't care about things like Epstein or Israel. I think this is a pretty, just as a fun little opener. Here's an example. This is people only hate Michael Rappaport online. Well, then explain this. So just kind of a little funny to start off with. Here's Michael Rappaport doing his noted little rants on the street he does in New York.
You know, this whole crap with this cancel culture and the... Shut up! Shit! Shut the fuck up! Nobody wants to hear it. Fucker. You've been talking all fucking week. You don't care what you have to say, just stop talking. You got me right in my fucking head, asshole. Stop. Damn it. You know, this whole...
All right, obviously that's a silly one, but we'll kind of wrap that into something a little bit more serious, and we'll finish off our introductory little icebreaker one. We're going to wrap this up. I've had this one sitting for a while. I think maybe you might have fun with this. Here's a little clip of one of these TPUSA struggle sessions with the Trump kiddos and asking them some contentious questions. So I figured maybe this would be a fun one. I think it's probably very much in the same vein. And also we've talked about, I think the other day, the Ted Cruz got jumped with he complained that someone asked him an anti-Semitic question when it was funny enough this similar question. This is being asked to the Trump children as opposed to Ted Cruz, but asking about the USS Liberty. But and that's enough setting up this clip. Let's go ahead and play it.
Mr. Trump, Ms. Trump, I'd like to ask about your father's relationship with Israel. He's taken over $230 million from pro-Israel groups. During the summer against Iran, Even though he advised against it, Israel still attacked Iran, and the U.S. still bombed on behalf of Israel. Your father's frustrations with Netanyahu have been made clear when he cursed on national TV over the situation. Israel has not been a great ally to the U.S. all the way since 1960 when they bombed the USS Liberty. Israel is a nation where Christians are constantly under attack in both Gaza and the West Bank. We talk about America first and defending Christians, but how can we do this if we align ourselves with a nation that does not do that itself?
I'm actually just going to cut it off there because I don't even really care what they have to say. If you want to hear the response, we can. But I don't know. I like this. I just want to start with some commentary. I don't know about you, your upbringing, but for me, I know that just feels nice. This is like a country boy, talking to the Trumps and just kind of a good old. I don't know. It just feels wholesome, like a red, white, and blue, apple pie, kiss your mama. And no, we're about America here, and I know something's nice about that. Any thoughts? I mean, if you want me to play the response, I mean, I think it's probably pretty predictable. We can assume what they're going to say, but just the obviously, I think the core issue here is the fact that these people are even having to deal with this.
Yeah, he sounded a little nervous too, but I'm glad he had the courage and he, very articulate and well said. And I actually thought they handled the question kind of pretty well. They kind of just did judo and talked totally about how bad Iran is, which is disingenuous, but they didn't get caught like flat-footed. I'm sure they were probably coached by guys like Josh Hammer before the conference started.
He's got to get some work somewhere. I don't know what it is he does. So,
yeah.
All right, let's move into the J6. That's enough for ice breaking. This is the photo to set the stage. Just kind of starting off. Apparently, the latest. I guess if you want, you can kind of start wherever you want. But you do. I'm sure you know that this show. I've been covering this as we go through. But the latest is that. The pipe bomber has an alibi. We talked about an Already Dead last night. Apparently she was playing with puppies. I've seen some people, kind of casting aspersions about that, which, sure, I'm completely open to that. These are the feds, or that the feds did this. If anything, I think the feds did do this shit essentially, and I'm still even open to that the alibi is a complete put on. But I from the start, along with I believe you, had some issues with the journalistic integrity here. And we were kind of tipped off from the jump because these are people that we've been aware of being either some combination of slop vendors, boomers, or glowies. It's kind of hard to pinpoint with all the different actors moving in and out of this story. But I don't know if you want to start with the latest, what the alibi is, or you can kind of start wherever you want. But like I said, it looks like this has been a dud, which we were kind of calling from the start. It looked a little dubious.
Yeah, and I'm totally with you that this probably was an inside job because for people who haven't forgotten, I know you've been covering this, but somebody supposedly placed these pipe bombs outside the DNC and RNC the night of January 5th, and then they sat there for about 18 hours, even avoiding detection of the public and the Secret Service's bomb-sniffing dogs. They swept the area. Then Vice President-elect Kamala Harris went in and out of the DNC, passing within about 15 feet of the supposed pipe bombs. And then they're discovered right around noon and 1 p.m., which is exactly when the first barrier was breached at the Capitol. And so whether this is an organic event and just one hell of a coincidence, or if it's an inside job, the purpose would be to totally divert attention and law enforcement resources away from the Capitol towards these bombs and make sure the January 6th riot becomes this national scandal and gets out of hand. And, furthermore, the FBI hasn't caught the person in 5 years almost, which just defies reason considering the most heavily surveilled city in America. But yeah, Blaze published this story purporting to identify the suspect as a former Capitol police officer turned CIA guard. And they did this largely based on gait recognition analysis, which is to say that the person they named walks almost identically to the person you see in that screen, the person that the FBI released footage of walking around the night of January 5th. So it's interesting, but it's very highly circumstantial. And now We've had this person named lawyer. Her lawyer came out and said, no, this is a false defamatory report. We've had the FBI saying the investigation continues. DOJ attorney Ed Martin says the person named by Blaze is not the suspect. And now the latest is we have the CBS article saying that the person that the Blaze named was actually has videos, or airtight alibi of her playing with puppies around the time that this person on FBI surveillance footage is walking around supposedly planting the pipe bombs. So you could, I find I'm not accepting the alibi for sure either, but the significance of this is that CBS reports that the FBI did clear her as a suspect. And that I do believe. I think CBS has reliable sources within the FBI that's clearing the suspect. So even if the alibi is bullshit, it seems like Blaze is in really big trouble because the FBI isn't treating this person as a suspect, and Blaze doesn't have rock solid proof. They just have gait recognition analysis. And so if they're sued, it seems like they almost set up this giant straw man that this lady could now knock down by suing, winning a big settlement, and everybody's going to say, oh, the Fedsurrection narrative is debunked. It wasn't an inside job. This is just a far-right conspiracy.
It reminds me of that one, I'm sure you've heard the claim that went around a bunch about McVeigh that got disproven, where he was supposedly at that one military base where they got like a recording, and they're like, I forget what the percentage supposedly is, but it's like, oh, it's some match, and then come to find out when you hunt it down, like the claim, it's actually bullshit. Because the guy's like, no, I didn't say that. So I think it was even Wendy who hunted down that claim, or it might have been Vanden Veulen, or however the heck you say his last name. Sorry, no shade, but it's a hard last name. But yeah, I mean, obviously, it is kind of like, it reminds me of that. I mean, and also for Program to Kill, things like, fiber analysis. It just sounds like some woo-woo CSI retard, slop that you go, oh, okay, and then you just buy it. And so it was like, from the jump, I think I was looking for, well, what does this mean? What does this gait analysis mean? Where does this come from? Who's doing this? And it's like, these are the most basic of questions, which I think was revealed in Alex Jones' interview, where Kyle Seraphin let the cat out of the bag. It just is like, because they said it wasn't government. They made a point to mention that. And then it was, what, an NSA contractor?
Yeah,
like, dog, that's government.
Hilarious. Because, I have been hearing rumblings that Baker had somebody who wasn't even supposed to be doing this for him run the analysis. That's kind of been like what the rumor has been behind the scenes. And then Alex Jones just says it out loud because he's fucking Alex Jones, national treasure, love him or hate him. And Kyle Seraphin tried to correct him, be like, no, this wasn't the government. Because I think Alex Jones said, oh, this is an NSA contractor. The deep state confirmed it. And Kyle's like, well, it wasn't within government. We had somebody private do it. And he's like, oh, NSA contractor, that's the same thing as government. And you see Kyle like, oh, yeah, okay. Can we just change the subject?
Which that's the exact moment that's the thumbnail for this show.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Because it is very much the moment, oh, shit. Which, I don't know. I mean, not to sit here and talk too much trash, because whenever, I don't know what Kyle Seraphin's game is, but he was making these odd claims, which, to be fair, he is in a position to where he would have exclusive claims that perhaps some things, not many people could confirm because of his position. So it does give you some level of like, oh, he's a primary source. So you can give some level of credibility to the things he said. But like, there were like, hell, he came on my show. I think it was like a year before the Daily Wire was even reporting on it, I forget the specific claims he was making about like his tracking and the individual that supposedly had the card or whatever. Which he was just saying that on my show a long time before any journalist even actually decided to run with it, like probably almost a year prior. And, in retrospect now, you're like, what did we have on that other than just a trust me, bro, from Kyle Seraphin? And it's just, this is how things build from there.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was the other element of this story that does make the story interesting, is that the story was that Kyle tracked the suspect seen on FBI surveillance footage the night of January 5th to that person apparently used a Metro card that was tracked to a condo, and it turns out that the person that Kyle tracked was the door neighbor of this former Capitol police officer who's alleged by Blaze to be the suspect. So when you put the gate recognition with the fact that Kyle was conducting surveillance on the next door neighbor, that's very, very interesting. And like the probability of that just being a coincidence seems awfully low. However, Kyle, that's actually been proven false. Kyle not conducting surveillance on the person in surveillance in the footage, the FBI's footage. Kyle was actually tracking somebody totally different who was walking around on January 5th, like taking pictures of various parts of DC, including where the RNC pipe bomb was placed by like this dumpster. And then they tracked that person using the Metro card, going back to the neighbor of the former Capitol Police officer named by Blaze. So it's still an interesting coincidence, but Kyle really screwed the pooch there because he made everybody, including you and me for years, think that the person using this Metro rail card was the actual pipe bomber when it's in fact somebody totally unrelated who was just taking pictures and was at one point considered a suspicious person and possibly a suspect, but not the same person that was actually planting the devices. So all of a sudden the coincidence becomes a lot less interesting, although still a little bit.
Yeah, and I think there is, like, I don't know, I don't want to get, I guess, too incredibly speculative and over our head, but it is hard not to see the big picture here and go, what the fuck? It almost kind of looks like a controlled demolition of, like, the Blaze or something, and also at the same time kind of a, I don't know, a nuking of the, credibility or respectability of even digging into this, realm of research or whatever. And hell, I'm at my core a libertarian. I don't even necessarily agree with defamation laws, and I think, well, they should be shunned for their work. They're going to get sued to shit, and I think that does have a chilling effect on speech in this current media landscape. That could be an interesting dynamic in that now it's a lot of citizen journalists, essentially. So I don't know how this is going to work. Obviously, they're not that, but I'm just saying that this dynamic could easily leak from one into the other for what is a legitimate mistake that, I don't really have much sympathy for an institution like this, but it is obviously leaks over from one into the other. But so I find it concerning. And, with that, I did find it concerning when I saw Massey, posting about the other day. I actually even hit up Dave and was kind of like gave him lowdown because I was like, because I saw him posting about it. I just want to be like, not saying that he's, buying into this or that, but I'm just kind of like, yo, this seems to me on the big picture almost like a credibility trap because I can totally see how people, not everyone's like me or you, digging into the minute details of this. Even some of the better people we have out there, this is kind of a confusing story, so it's hard to, it's easy to get bamboozled here. So I was a little bit like, oh shit, when I saw Massey digging into it. Now I did watch his interview. He'd been posting about it prior, but there was a recent interview he did with Steve Baker just like past couple days ago. I haven't finished it, but I did get the impression, I don't know if there were words said or what, but I did get the feeling that it was more like, oh, we're parallel souls on a research journey or something. That was the vibe he put off, which it almost seemed intentionally so. Very much never even a word of, oh, you're great reporting or anything like that. Very cordial. Nothing was, but I was looking for those things and I didn't really notice any of it. So credit to him. Perhaps I would assume, maybe they scheduled it before he maybe dug into some things, and once some retractions and stuff started coming out, he started going, oh, well, okay, well, I did agree to this interview. So that would be the only thing I would think. But it does, obviously, I find it concerning when I see these people getting into the mix, and it is like, what does this mean if they lean too heavily into it? But I guess, and what are your thoughts? I threw a lot at you, and I kind of brought it to an end there with the Massey thing, so you can take that on, or anything else in there that you find to be interesting. But I do find the Massey component, or just really the idea of trying to bring the movement or whatever into something like, I don't know, just being concerned what about that going forward, I guess.
Yeah, and Massey, I don't know when this interview was conducted, but he initially tweeted out Steve Baker's original story claiming to identify the suspect. But then when Baker started having to issue corrections and there was a lot of doubts being raised, Massey actually said in a statement to NBC News a couple days later, quote, can't vouch for every detail of the story. So I think he realizes that this isn't rock solid, but he's still been working with Baker, which is concerning. After the story was published, FBI whistleblower came out supposedly corroborating some aspects of Serafin's story about tracking this person with the Metro Rail card. I guess another person within the Bureau, assuming it's not Serafin himself, like pretending, like writing up something and pretending to be a separate whistleblower. The person did say that they were initially surveilling this person's neighbors, and then they wanted to do a knock and talk interview to ask them about what you were doing on January 5th. And they were pulled off and like assigned to desk duty. And that person came out to Massey, and Massey is published parts of the whistleblower disclosure. And then he gave that whistleblower disclosure to Blaze, which ran a follow-up story. So even though he's not vouching for every detail of the bombshell, he's still working with them, which is indeed troubling.
Now, I didn't get too much in the details. Like the whistleblower, what specifically did they bring to the story? Were they corroborating aspects of like Kyle's story or something? Because you mentioned it's a whistleblower, and so I guess my head being a little conspiratorial, I think like, you know, everyone's like, "Ooh, we're getting justice here," and what are you guys being some sticks in the mud or whatever? And I'm like, but I know maybe I'm just that schizophrenic where I'm like, yeah, well, wouldn't they have a burn plan? Like, and this is kind of like if you had what do we do if things go tits up or whatever? And this would kind of be the perfect one. You have some people out there that seed out some unsubstantiated information who are, you know, viable primary sources. And you get, I mean, if we have Kyle and now you're talking about a whistleblower, if he is also, that's even like better. Like he doesn't have to admit who he is. So it's just another person, supposedly in the FBI, now backing up perhaps certain aspects. I just find it interesting how these claims compound and they're unsubstantiated, but like in combination, it kind of looks like, oh my God, look at all this stuff. But if you really scrape at the surface, you're like, well, this is all, settled on shit. This foundation is bullshit.
Yeah, and again, the whistleblower didn't add anything confirming the Blaze's story other than that small detail of Serafin conducting surveillance on the next door neighbor, and then they got pulled off and assigned to desk duty. And I guess the implications would be like, though they were on the right trail, but then they got sent to the basement because the FBI higher ups didn't want them to expose the real truth. So actually the whistleblower kind of undermined Serafin's story. That whole thing I was talking about, how he wasn't tracking the actual suspect. He was tracking another guy who was just viewed as suspicious. That's information that I learned in the wake of this latest whistleblower disclosure.
Mm-hmm. All right, I want to talk a little bit about the people kind of naysaying. I've seen online, we have Viva Fry here. He's mentioning, obviously throwing a little bit of sarcasm on here about her playing with puppies and kind of like, ooh, which, to be fair, that is, I totally get, side-eyeing a puppy alibi. That is kind of wild. And as I said at the jump, like, I'm completely okay with the idea that, like, it is bullshit. But it is, like, as I said, this could be a bullshit thing. And they also know, like, this could be, if there's a burn plan, it could be bullshit. It could be all contrived, but it's a trap that everyone's falling into because it's all set on quicksand. Now here's Viva Fry, and I think there's something revealing about this exchange back and forth. Here is him replying to Julie Kelly, who literally was just her post. She's kind of quoting the CBS report, literally kind of providing no real opinion, just saying here are the details that we've kind of already talked about, the alibi, yada yada. And then here's Viva Fry saying, "Serious question, Julie Kelly. During our interview, you asserted that you don't believe the devices were placed at the time the FBI is telling us. So presumably you should not be convinced by this alibi whatsoever. How do you reconcile these two beliefs? That the devices were not placed the night before, but the day of, and yet somehow this alibi clears the person identified in the article." And to that, I just have to, I'll let you comment, but this is just basic logic, and it's astounding. Julie Kelly hits it on the head here. It says, how is this guy a lawyer? As I said, she never even gave her opinion on it. I just, what are your thoughts on the naysayers here? Because it is like everyone's just kind of coming out like, oh, she's playing with puppies? And you're like, yeah, I think that might be bullshit too. But it seems like everyone's so cocksure. Maybe this is just what a Dunning-Kruger in real time, and I'm just frustrated. I don't know.
Yeah, and so Julie's theory is that the pipe bombs are actually probably planted about 15 to 20 minutes before they were found. And there is some interesting evidence of that, including the fact that the Secret Service bomb sniffing dogs totally missed them. But the person who founded the RNC, that Carlin Younger, she's a counterterrorism analyst. She says she told the FBI that she walked through the alley her first time on her way to do laundry and she didn't see anything. And it was later that she walked back and then she found the bomb and the timer was set on 20 minutes. And she thinks that it had to have been planted in between her two walks. And then with the DNC one, there's footage showing like some suspicious movements by the police where they might, like somebody walks up around where the bomb was later found. And I guess the suggestion there is like they might have actually planted it and then just found it like 20 minutes later after they planted it themselves. And so that Viva Frey guy is asking, well, if you believe the person named by Blaze, if you believe her alibi that she was playing with puppies on the 5th, but, why does that exonerate her? I guess he's suggesting that maybe she was still the one that planted it like 20 minutes before they were found. But I actually responded to him, like, that lady named by Blaze was at the Capitol, like shooting protesters in the face with non-lethal rounds. So, like, that's a simple answer to his question, that she couldn't have been the person who planted it on the 6th because she was at the Capitol. And of course, I commented and he just totally ignored it. And he's still kind of running with this theory. And it was bizarre that Kyle Seraphin also like commented on that, like LOL, when he should, that it can't be her if the bombs are planted on the 6th because she was at the Capitol.
Mm-hmm. I gotta say, I do gotta throw it out there, just a little bit of shade. I do find it funny, once again, that if you are someone who believes in theater and all this, it is interesting that the Wilkins thing, the whole Alexis Wilkins thing, she's suing Kyle Seraphin, who, let's be real, he's a former Glowie. I mean, and then also Elijah Schaefer, which I know that's been a rumor. I mean, a lot of people, I don't know if it's jokes or what. He's literally jokes about it. I don't fucking know. I've been on his show nice enough. I have no idea. But just point being is it's kind of like, it's just it is. And here we see another situation where, like, if you're being speculative, if you're being jaded, you're like, oh, okay. I got, like I said, a burn plan. Do you have any more or any other thoughts you feel like we should really expound upon before we move on to the next segment, getting into some of the various assassins that you become known for covering? Is there anything on the J6 stuff you feel like we should hit before we move on that perhaps maybe I'm just blanking on?
Yeah, I guess we should just mention that if you go to Steve Baker and Kyle Seraphin's feed, they're still accusing this lady. They haven't backed away at all. So they're either very confident they have the goods, they have like an ace in the hole that they're not revealing yet, or they're just the biggest retards of all time. And I could go through Steve Baker and Kyle Seraphin's history of false information and blunders to support the theory that they're probably just the biggest idiots of all time. But I guess that would be going down a rabbit trail. But you see him, he tweeted out a GIF of puppies. So like, he thinks it's all a big joke. I hope for his sake that he's right.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm a little bit skeptical here, but I'll follow you down that rabbit hole because that's kind of the perfect segue, I think, a little bit into our next segment. I figure we kind of start off with, and I think this does, if I recall correctly, funny enough, tie a little bit into the consistent discrediting of Steve Baker, which I'm completely open to him just being a slop vendor and not being some Glowie. I'm open to whatever. I get more of a boomer slop vendor vibe. But here is you shared the other day more information about talking shit about Bongino, this retarded gorilla. Talking about how every single round was accounted for. I know there were some weird discrepancies when it came to Baker's reporting when it came to the shots that were fired out in Butler on that day. So I didn't know if you want to talk about that a little bit, because that does feed a little bit into the rabbit hole and kind of ties a little bit into what's going on with all this.
Yeah, well, okay, so Baker initially reported that the Secret Service sniper who finally shot Crooks was 488 yards away, when it turned out that the sniper was only like 150 yards away, right behind Trump on one of the barns. And so that might not be like the biggest mistake, but Baker claimed to have seen the scope data from the sniper, like, the distance and the wind and the direction and all that. And then he also claimed like, oh, well, me, Eric Prince, and Dan Bongino all have the same source because they all reported that 488 yard mark. And he's refused to issue a correction on it, even though like he claims that he had the scope data. So, it's not like the biggest error in the world, but my issue is his total dishonesty and his unwillingness to run a correction about it. He finally commented to me admitting the error, but he said, he chalked it up to like, oh, these things happen in the fog of war.
Yeah, you're supposed to correct them.
Issue a correction, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually they kind of don't. Like people say that, but then they kind of don't. Like if you were just like, I don't know, have a little bit of journalistic integrity. Like I get I'm a podcaster, so I'm a little more half-cocked, but even me as like a half-cocked podcaster, I generally speaking, for the most part, analyze the facts on the ground and I'm able to, I don't know, use basic logic to interpret reality. I don't know. It's not that crazy.
Yeah. I'll give you an example of a mistake made in the fog of war. Susan Crabtree, she's a very well-sourced reporter with the Secret Service. She reports on the Secret Service, and she initially reported the day after July 13th that somebody in the Secret Service told her that the snipers didn't have authorization to fire until Crooks fired first. And that kind of sparked a big uproar, like, oh, this is ridiculous. They see a guy crawling into position with a rifle and they had to hold their fire until he fired first. And Crabtree's very careful. I do believe that she had a source definitely tell her that. And my theory is that the Secret Service was trying to float that excuse just to see if the public would buy it. And then when everybody's like, oh, this is bullshit, they're like, okay, we gotta try to think of another excuse.
Some sort of like law of war. We don't shoot until fired upon, until we see the white of their eyes. You're like, no, we're talking about a political figure that's a sitting duck. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But like, I blame Crabtree for reporting that at the time because she has credible sources, and I do believe that they told her that. But that's far different than Baker saying like, oh, I had the data from the scope and this is like solid information, and now he's like refusing to change. So, but I guess, yeah, we should get to this latest story. Have you covered like a lot of these, like the Tucker Carlson documentary or anything on that?
I've the Crooks, the furry stuff. I've done a little bit. I know that the whole furry thing does seem to be a little bit of a spoiler clickbait. I've already kind of said it's from my understanding, it was what he had a DeviantArt account, which is kind of a commonly used like a meme sort of format thingy, I think, and it looked very similar to stuff I've seen from our 764 digs. So I think it's just kind of like a commonly used like bare bones, some sort of I don't know, like meme creation, whatever the fuck. So that's where I think the furry thing comes from. Unless there's something I'm missing here, there's more to imply of what you're getting at. But I've dug into a little bit, not extensively. I figured at some point when I got you in here, we'd pick at the things that you find to be interesting there.
Okay, cool. I'll give the whole rundown, which leads into this tweet you have up. Tucker Carlson released a trove of previously unpublished internet data from Crooks, including his violent comments he made on YouTube, which raised a lot of questions. Like, this guy had to have been flagged by law enforcement. He's openly talking about like bombing federal buildings and things like that. And some other reporters, Tucker didn't report on this, but they also got information that Crooks had an account on DeviantArt, which is apparently a big platform for like furry images and possibly pornographic or sexually charged furry stuff. But journalist Brianna Morello released some of the screenshots from Crooks's purported account, which just showed like cartoons of one guy shooting another guy in the face with a shotgun, one guy getting his head split open with a wrench, like nothing about furries. So the whole furry thing was just spun out by the fact that he had a DeviantArt account, even though there's no solid evidence. And then people like Jack Posobiec made a lot of hay about the fact that his pronouns were set to they, them, but that's actually the default setting for DeviantArt. You have to switch it to he if you want to do that. So yeah, it's totally overblown. And the FBI actually did debunk that aspect of the story, and they responded in like an hour-plus interview with Fox News. So that was good that they debunked that. And, I'm not taking the FBI's word for it. We've seen the screenshots. It's reasonable to think that Crooks, he wasn't into this stuff. He was into muscle.
No. Yeah, he's not a furry feller. He's into muscle mommies.
Yeah. And I mean, you can see the picture of him like on July 13th. He's like this grungy kid with a gray shirt. Like there's nothing to indicate that he was trans at all. None of his classmates or anybody else have indicated that. It's just total bullshit. But then the FBI, in typical FBI fashion, spread its own misinformation pertaining to Crooks. He had been communicating with an avowed neo-Nazi accelerationist who was over in Norway. The account was Willie Tepes. And again, the significance of this is like 2020. So I'm not saying that Tepes groomed anything, but the significance would be like, he had to have been flagged by the law enforcement for these communications. But the FBI comes out and says like, Crooks had made some comments on YouTube and Willie Tepes was commenting in response to him, but Crooks never engaged. But that was totally contradicted by the screenshots released by Tucker Carlson, Brianna Morello, and Miranda Devine. They all show Crooks tagging Willie Tepes and talking to him about committing acts of terrorism. So again, I don't know if like Cash Patel and Dan Bongino are just retarded, but like they're getting information run up the chain and they're repeating it without even doing the basic due diligence. And then that brings us to the other part where they're claiming that all the bullets are accounted for when the House investigation says one bullet was never recovered. That could be because one of the bullets is still in victim James Covenhaver's stomach. They can't extract it because it's too close to the spine and they might paralyze him. So I guess technically if you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, they could say, yes, all the bullets are accounted for, even though we don't have them all.
Anything else on Ralph before we move on to the other assassin? We have more than one to cover, but it is obviously the biggest thing I got out of that was he glows like the absolute sun. Like if you stare too deep into it, your eyes will hurt. Like that's the level of glow we're talking about, and just what you're mentioning. I remember like watching the Tucker thing that literally was just over and over the most overt, violent threats over and over and over and over again, to where you're like the most parody level of like, this guy is a Fed. Like, obviously, I'm sure theoretically, we don't know. Obviously, we don't know. But if you're just doing pattern recognition behavior of like what people joke about on the internet and what a Fed is, all the things he was doing. So obviously, we have no smoking gun, no nothing. But it just looks incredibly, incredibly suspicious, which much like the next thing that we're going to segue into, the Tyler Robinson. I figured we'd start off talking about the latest hoopla about whether he's even real. Was there ever any video of him? There was a whole some shenanigans, but seeming like the videos perhaps are missing. And I know there's been some more stuff in there. But if there's anything else we missed on Ralph you feel like is a worthwhile touching on, let me know. Otherwise, we can jump into Robinson.
Other than it was Crooks, not Ralph. But
why do I keep saying Ralph? Yeah, I'm retarded. Ralph Crooks, I got them mixed up. Yeah, mixed up.
I would say Crooks. He wasn't a Fed. He was groomed. I think that's probably what you meant.
Well, I'm just meaning what's the word? When I say Fed, I don't mean literally like an agent. Like
it was a
Fed asset, some sort of. Whether he's being an unwitting asset, he's some sort of something. Like he's saying incredibly overt violence online, and it's completely unbelievable that nobody saw that.
At the very least, he had to have been on the FBI's radar due to those comments, at least in some capacity, which is probably why they're being so secretive and why they're claiming that there's no more evidence to disclose, because they know that they should have been monitoring this kid more closely in the lead up to his attack.
Mm-hmm. All right, yeah, so we have Tyler Robinson. I guess he is set to appear on the 11th, so that's here in a couple weeks. So I know the latest was they missed that he wasn't there, or not that he wasn't there, but they lost the video. So what are your thoughts? Do you think we'll see him? I'll be honest, I'm schizophrenic enough to think maybe he doesn't even exist. Who knows? I mean, it's crazy. I mean, what have we gotten of him? We got one weird little video where like he like basically doesn't move at all, and I think he like maybe nods a couple times, almost like the same canned response if you're being a skeptic. And I think he might have like made one verbal response, like a grunt or a yes or something. So I know, and then we have this video of him supposedly coming in missing. They've been very squirrely about the details, which I guess the counter argument would be, I guess they're mounting a case, so they're not going to release all the information, but I don't know, it just seems a bit much. What are you thinking?
Oh, you could hit me with your best skeptic remarks, but I actually am starting to believe that he probably was the shooter. And I can't get past the point where his dad was the one that helped turn him in. It's like, why, if, would you turn your own son in if he didn't do it? And why wouldn't he be speaking out in the media if the feds were falsely implicated in his own son? I mean, there's a gag order applying to him, but are you going to let a gag order stop you from speaking out? I sure wouldn't. And we do know, like, there's video of him, not jail video, but there's obviously video proving this is a real person that exists, like stuff like his car breaking down a couple years ago and things like that. As far as the surveillance footage of him being turned in, I also think that's being blown out of proportion. I mean, the government's really stupid for not disclosing it, but from what I can tell is this local media outlet requested the footage of him being turned into the jail, and then they said, we don't have this because he didn't go to the jail, he went to the office. And then a couple weeks later, the same outlet requested footage of him going to the office, but it was already outside of like the 30-day limit for them to be required to provide it. And now the government's just being stupid and not providing it at all. So that doesn't prove that the footage doesn't exist. And again, if this didn't exist, why wouldn't the dad be speaking out?
Yeah, I mean, this could be just as simple as government employee laziness.
Yeah.
Like, if you're saying, oh, I don't have to comply with this order because our bylines or whatever, our regulations say this is, then I'm not doing it because I don't want to. And that is very much a government, how the government behaves. Like, unless you can get some sort of crazy public push, if they don't have to do it, they're almost certainly not going to because they don't give a shit about you, and that's the government. There's more on the gag order. I think you made mention on it. There's some new stuff going on. What's the latest in the gag order side thing? Which, by the way, backing up, you mentioned the skeptic thing. I will say where I'm at in this story, I'll be on it. Like, I'm getting, I guess, more disillusioned with any more grand crazy. I do think, like, yeah, he probably. I wouldn't be surprised if he was the shooter, but I would be. I will say, like, whatever the colloquial official narrative, which even I don't even know what the hell that is really at this point. Like, he got shot with a 30-06 and it was Tyler Robinson lone wolf. I don't buy that. I'll tell you that. But I'm completely open to Tyler Robinson being who fired the shot or something like that. But I think it feels like things are squirrely here. So that's all I'm saying. But I'm open to whatever. I'm just kind of seeing where the facts lead as they go. And I mean, we're getting sparse information. It doesn't help that we have things like this gag order. So what's the latest going on with that, Kim?
Yeah, and to your point, it is very troubling that the Trump administration used this as propaganda to like expand its domestic war on terror, and this is a grand wing Antifa conspiracy. You see guys like Jack Posobiec constantly pushing that narrative, which I think is totally uncalled for, but they might just be capitalizing on a tragedy. But yeah, this gag order is another troubling aspect of the case. The judge initially slapped a pretty sweeping gag order that would prevent any potential witnesses from testifying or from speaking publicly, which includes like all 3,000 people who were there, plus the parents of Tyler Robinson and anybody that's going to be used as a witness in the case. And even the prosecution actually filed an objection to this, saying that we shouldn't be held accountable. Like, how are we going to control 3,000 people from talking? And this seems unconstitutional. Can you narrow it down to only the witnesses that we're going to like use in the trial? And bizarrely, the defense actually opposes that. The defense is okay with the broader gag order. And furthermore, they want to expand it to include state and federal officials, people like Pam Bondi, the state governor, Spencer Cox, Kash Patel, because you'll remember, like, when Tyler Robinson was arrested, Spencer Cox says, "Ladies and gentlemen, we got him." Yeah. Pam Bondi said Tyler Robinson is a, quote, horrible person. She called for a firing squad. Kash Patel made all kinds of stupid comments. He says, "Oh, we have DNA on the rifle that matches to Robinson." All of these comments obviously could prejudice his right to a fair trial.
Yeah.
But instead of, like, if I were the defense, I'd be trying to lift the gag order and fire back publicly and get my side of the story out there, rather than to now clamp down on everybody and just wait until the trial. I would go, again, to bring it back to OKC, you could learn so much about studying that case. Stephen Jones, he fought the battle in the media. And you could say, oh, it didn't work because Timothy McVeigh ultimately got the death penalty. But I think Jones brought a lot of important things to light. And maybe he would have had a better chance if McVeigh almost seemingly did. It seems like he wanted to be convicted.
Well, yeah, that's why, like, from the jump, a lot of people were upset with me with how hard I was going on some things. But like, I was really pushing back, kind of, especially with the death penalty angle, because, to that Stephen Jones thing, like, obviously you're saying, oh, that he didn't work. Well, it depends on what you think Stephen Jones was there for, I guess, depending on your opinion on that situation. But, essentially they were able to drive up this fervor, make him the villain, and kind of neatly wrapped up, kind of, don't worry about that John Doe 2 thing. And Nichols, yeah, we got him too. All neatly, boom, bad guy, we killed him, let's move on. And it feels like that's what they were trying to do with Robinson, like hardcore. And luckily, I think there was enough people that were voices of reason there, although there still is this weird fervor among the Posos of the world clamoring for his blood, despite, like, well, you don't even really know the hell happened yet, so you're jumping forward a step. And even if it was him, even too, because I think McVeigh is the one who did it, obviously, but I think he had help. But it's like, why would you murder your number one witness? Seems a little counterintuitive. So definitely helps you with the problem. But moving on into more incompetence of the feds. Here's they pulled over $1 million in overtime in 1 week in March, reviewing the Epstein files. So I have a feeling it's not to bring us justice, but luckily we have more journalists like people like you. We have Ryan Grimm. Apparently they have another treasure trove of 18,000 Epstein emails that have dropped. I don't know if you've been following along with these drop site news stuff coming out, but it has been absolutely mind-blowing. I covered the Rothschild one on the show yesterday. Absolutely insane. It's a funny, that really just even furthermore confirms that Ehud Barak, meddling in Israeli politics, but just absolutely stunning. But I just kind of, I don't know, any thoughts on I guess the latest on where these are. I think people are getting pretty disillusioned with this current administration. And like we started the jump, that we get this kitchen table issues, and it's like, yeah. Sure, maybe in an abstract sense, like I guess people do care more about the price of gas when it's at the tank, more than they do, I guess, about some abstract other person, a war in another world or someone else's child being violated. But it's a little bit different when it's like, well, the prices are also getting worse, and you're doing that, and also, let's be real, if you have an administration that's okay with these sorts of things, I mean, what does that really say about the administration? So, I don't know, just kind of anywhere you want to take it. I just I think we're in a very unique time. I mean, it's particularly like we see Ryan Grimm here. I mean, I'm talking to you. It's people like you that I think are doing the amazing work out there, because it's not the media. It's not the establishment media, that dying beast. It's the drop points of the world that are dropping all this crazy information that's just been sitting there, essentially confirming Epstein as a Israeli agent, and then basically borderline, almost there with the Rothschild one, and it seems like they're continuing to chisel away at it. I don't know where the hell they're going to end with this at the end, but a lot's being revealed. What are your thoughts on the current media paradigm right now?
Yeah, well, Ryan Grimm, I don't know him at all, but I think he deserves a Pulitzer Prize for this latest reporting on Epstein. It's absolutely incredible stuff. Probably my favorite story. Actually, Jose Nino's been covering this more closely. He's been writing the articles for Headline USA covering this stuff. But if I recall correctly, Epstein was back channeling meetings between Ehud Barak and Putin, trying to encourage Putin to endorse the overthrowing of Assad back in 2014-15 when all that was popping off at the time. And I mean, if you want to talk about kitchen table issues, like the overthrowing of Assad creates a whole wave of refugees that's going to, come up to Europe and over to America, and like immigration, that's a real kitchen table issue. So there are solid links. And, moreover, this is just absolutely just astounding stuff that, we've confirmed that he's definitely an Israeli intelligence asset. I mean, I've seen guys like, of course, Michael Tracy, ever the naysayer. He's like, oh, well, they haven't proven that he was running a sexual blackmail operation on behalf of Israel. So it's like always like just moving the goalposts, even though this seems like significant enough to create, congressional hearings and it should just be like the biggest scandal in the country.
Yeah, and I think kind of shifting a little bit to kind of where the barometer is for the current administration. Here's a tweet. It's actually the essentially claim that's being floated out there a while ago. Essentially that they're getting ready to replace the whole cabinet. This is about a week or so ago, and there was one the other day. I forget which major news network was floating out this supposed report, sources say type thing, saying they're talking about doing the same with Cash App. And I here's Karen Leavitt. I know she did for that one and for this one. She kind of, this is, fake news, yada, 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 yada. I'm not even going to bother reading it to you. Like, it's not really anything substantive. I kind of put a little bit of stock into these things. I think there probably is some truth to that. I think people are very, very much dissatisfied with the current situation. And I think perhaps we might see some interesting moves, some shifts. I mean, I am of the ultimate opinion it'll probably be all for naught, but I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are in this current paradigm and just kind of how people are feeling about the current administration. And I know, what do you think is the likelihood of these of the current what's the Game of Thrones that's at play here? Who do you think will be whose head will be left?
Yeah, it's hard to know what's going on. On the one hand, Pam Bondi and Cash App are such clowns that you think that any respectable administration would want to get them out of there. But on the other hand, they're like Trump's the strongest soldiers, they're like carrying the water. Cash keeps lying, saying, oh, we can't release these FBI documents about Epstein because we're subject to court orders, court restrictions. When that's just a total lie, because what he's referring to are the orders from Ghislaine Maxwell's trial. Well, Maxwell, only 4 victims testified against Maxwell, which leaves about 996 or so other victims that wouldn't be subject to that court order. And that's according to Kash Patel's own memo when they issued it in like June, saying Epstein definitely killed himself. He wasn't blackmailing anybody. That memo specifically says that there's over 1,000 victims. So yeah, total bonehead move there. And, you had Pam Bondi. She was behind that whole Epstein binder stunt. And it would seem to me that if Trump was going to fire them, he should have done that right away and put in more competent people. But, who knows what he's thinking?
Mm-hmm. Well, I know what Candace is thinking. She's thinking they're coming after me. She's too much truth. The truth is off the charts, and now we must protect our queen. Here's you being the naysayer here, Ken. I don't know what would possess you to do such a thing. In response to Candace's tweet the other day about yada yada, French Israelis killing me or something. Trust me, bro. Which, to be fair, I mean, I'm being a little bit glib here, but I'm also like, okay, cool. Drop some receipts. I'm here for it. I'm so here for it if that's legit. But here's you saying if you have evidence, file a police report, but I bet you won't because you don't. So just kind of what are your thoughts? I know, obviously, I get you expound a little bit of where you're at with the whole Candace phenomenon. I've been mixed. I mean, I'm just anytime anyone provides information, I'm just kind of waiting to for further corroborative information, which sometimes Candace does, sometimes she doesn't, and when she does, that's cool, and when she doesn't, that's kind of like, well, all right, then I don't incorporate that into my understanding of reality. But obviously, that can be an issue for those who just buy everything she does, hook, line, and sinker. So I don't know, where are you at with this? Is our queen in harm? Are we going to organize? What are we doing?
Well, I got a lot of crap for that comment about filing a police report. Everybody's like, "Oh, police report? Are you dumb?" Like, my point is that filing a false police report is a crime, and so that if she files a police report, at least she's showing us that she has skin in the game. She has legal liability to where if she's lying, she could get in trouble. So I would at least hope that you would take that step to show us that she's serious instead of just spouting off on Twitter. So I don't think these threats are genuine at all. I think she's about to get sued for millions and millions of dollars by the Macrons. So why would they want to kill her when they're about to take her lunch? And well, you'll have to tell me. You said sometimes she provides evidence for her claims. Like, when has she ever done that besides showing that Charlie Kirk is probably deeply closeted because he's a Rihanna fan and he was like a total propaganda mercenary who he only flipped on Israel because the checks stopped cashing? What other evidence has she provided at all for anything?
Yeah, she did her dirty, or did him dirty, big time. I gotta say, like, all the stones thrown and everyone all upset about whatever different people were doing to the memory of Kirk, and then her to take him and then be like, ooh, here's us singing. I don't think it was Rihanna. I think it was Nicki, which makes it even worse. Nicki Minaj. At least some of Rihanna's are like kind of catchy and poppy. Like Nicki Minaj is like, I don't know, like Walmart like type trashy. Like I don't know. Like it's a different thing. It's I don't know, a grown man of Charlie Kirk's stature, fucking sending lyrics back and forth to Nicki Minaj songs to Candace. All right, bro. I don't know. I mean, you see yourself surrounded by all these beltway effeminate men. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. I have feelings and thoughts about these things. But anyways, whatever. Whatever. These are people have thoughts. I mean, we study parapolitics. Those sort of things come up all the time. All these closeted people. Not saying that's the case. Maybe he just really liked Nicki Minaj. But really just the group chat thing's probably been the biggest one. That was pretty big. But really, yeah, usually that was probably the biggest one she floated out. And so I guess for me with this current thing, it does feel so grand so that I feel like there's almost, you would think there'd be a grain of something there, but I guess you would say the same thing about the Blaze.
Yeah.
Although I guess with the Blaze, like I'm a little bit more, I know, schizophrenic, paranoid, and the characters at play in the Blaze, it makes more sense for like a controlled demolition. Like, let's be real. What's Glenn Beck doing these days? He's cooked. He's done. There's nothing happening for Glenn. Like, you gotta just take that off the board and get what you can get out of that. Like Candace, it's like, what would be the point? I mean, I guess a complete destruction of whatever narrative she's building towards, but I don't know. It just seems, just seems sloppy. Seems weird. Seems like I feel like there's going to be some grain of something. Now, do I believe that everything she's saying? No, not at all. Not in the slightest. I think it might be like there's some grain of something. I don't know. I'm very torn. It does seem like such a big claim to not follow up with. Literally taking the whole week being like, oh, I'm dropping the ball and all of you guys' plate or whatever, it's on you. Although it was at Thanksgiving too, so it is this weird, like, I didn't even piece that together in the moment. You're like, oh, you just did this crazy, like, oh, and you're like, oh, well, this is like, let's be real, you'd want this time off anyway. It's Thanksgiving. I was like, oh, she's going to leave this in the news cycle. And I'm like, I don't know. I think there's a good chance that does just kind of escape the news cycle because we are going into Thanksgiving. So I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, I guess I'm kind of just grappling with this in real time. It's just bizarre. It just seems not that I'm like, look to her some quality vendor of truth, but it just seems such an overstep, I guess. I don't know. Any thoughts, I guess, before I ramble more?
I think she just might be an unwitting asset and she's on full tilt and gonna, probably fly too close to the sun. I don't know. Maybe she'll be here 20 years from now still spouting off.
Yeah. And this isn't a good look right here. You posted about this guy right here. There's Evan Kilgore. He shared this video of Brandon Tatum, and I guess here's him saying Brandon Tatum, after saying Candace has convinced him multiple times that there was legitimate assassination threat in her life, and that the proof has warranted the U.S. government need to look into it, said that he hasn't directly seen the evidence, but believes Candace wouldn't lie to him. I mean, this is the kind of thing. I don't know. Let's watch this video because. There comes to be more, with Candace here. But let's see Brandon Tatum, just off the jump. If you're jumping off of Brandon Tatum, I mean, the fact that she's even still talking to this dumb motherfucker is just like, what? I mean, if you've been paying attention to him at all, like anything he's done, like for one, like the fact anyone would associate with him just on the bare level, intelligence, charisma, anything level, like why? But then even then on top of that, his moves, the way he's moved in such insanely shady. Like, he was like, wasn't he the guy that literally came back from Israel and was like, we only got spit on once? And you're like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. But yeah, let's play this video. Let's see what Brandon Tatum had to say about this, because I guess it kind of ties into, his associated with Candace and believing in all this. Let's play this.
I would never support us supporting Israel ever again. Now, I will say this, because it's not verified. I don't have any verifiable evidence. Candace didn't show me verifiable evidence, but she did say that she had it, and I have not asked her for the evidence because I have to do it on a secure platform, which is the secure platform that I've invested in and I believe in. The CEO and I was talking about it, helping them develop it, and that's Freedom Chat. And I told Candace yesterday, don't text me this stuff on the cell phone. Send it to me on Freedom Chat where it's encrypted.
Is this a fucking plug?
I did not see this.
All right, let's finish it. There's like 15 seconds left.
We can have a conversation without the government putting their fingers in it. And I know that it's encrypted, and I know that it's protected because I'm a part of the company. So I made sure that before I ever endorse or support anybody making claims like that.
Can you imagine this is all just one Freedom Chat grift?
This is amazing. This is amazing. I think this guy's smarter than he comes off because he's clearly like just listeners.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get to what the core I was getting at here. All right. You retweeted this Evan Kilgore guy to provide some commentary, yada, yada, yada. He put, holy shit, Officer Tatum now says he has seen the evidence regarding the assassination threat on Candace Owens. She retweeted it. Now, to be fair, I guess, actually, never mind. He's saying he's seen the evidence. And then he retweeted that. To give this Evan guy credit, he did clarify it, that what that post we just showed of the video was him clarifying it. But he had initially said that he has seen the evidence, and literally in that video, he's saying in his plug that he did not see the evidence. So for Candace to retweet that, I mean, I don't know, I guess it could just be a simple oversight, but it seems I don't know. This is how information spreads, and it's a little shady.
Yeah, 1.4 million views or so, and that Evan Kilgore guy, he should just delete the incorrect tweet, but yeah, it's still up. It's still on Candace's timeline, and that's just the latest little misstep I've caught Candace in, or I haven't caught her. It's pretty obvious, but I've been paying attention to her since Butler. She interviewed that Greg Smith guy that we were trying to get on your show. Apparently she talked to him. He thought it was off the record, and then she goes on her show and kind of burns him and kind of misinterprets what she was saying. And, ever since then, she's just very unethical journalism practices. And it seems to me she's just trying to get as much attention as she can.
Yeah, and this doesn't bode well. Here's Tyler Yankee, Libertarian Podcast Review, in the chat saying Freedom Chat is also where you can find Josh Hammer's book, which I haven't. I mean, obviously I didn't double check that, but I assume that's legit. Man, I'm noticing, I'm picking up patterns that make me uncomfortable.
I think that was a joke, right?
Maybe, I don't know. I actually think he was telling the truth. I mean, I guess we can. Maybe not. I don't know. Tell me if that was a joke or not, Tyler. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it would be a joke. He didn't say LOL. Whatever. I choose to believe it. Moving on, though. I mean, I don't know if you go this schizo, but I guess it's a little bit of a plug. If Brandon Tatum's going to do plugs, I'll do them too. But Dana Duda is coming on the show tonight. We're going to talk about the Scientology, Mormonism, TPUSA, Temple of Set, mind war nexus swirling about in relation to all this Candace Kirk stuff. It's a lot to grasp, and I know we've been piecing together in the show little by little. I don't know. I guess what's that is a plug. I don't expect you to go, "Yep, it totally was the Mormons who did this, or the Scientologists, or whatever." Just, I don't know, any thoughts? I mean, this is like, I don't know. I mean, this is. I know you've been following along with any of the Dana Doodah's craziness, some of the crazy connections out there. For example, this one I'll show you right now. I guess a little bit of a teaser for tonight's show. Here's her saying, "Folks really want to sit here and fuss with me like I didn't make absolutely sure via numerous varying accounts since 2017 provided by Candace, her father, and her younger sister, then cross-referencing with business records, census records, social media, etc. Come on now. What is she referring to? She's referring to Candace's dad, apparently having, who was, quote, in charge of contracts, quote, during tragic loss of life at Sandy Hook." Obviously, a guy who comes into this as well. She's literally quote tweeting this weird billionaire guy who's been all on Candace's dick since it started, John Mappin, who is actually in Epstein's black book and is a very noted Scientologist. I think he has some sort of weird, what looks like some sort of weird Scientology front group he's ahead of or some shit. But yeah, a lot of weird connections and dubious stuff there. So I don't know. I mean, it's always been a little bit weird about what is her past with Candace. I don't know. These are shady characters. These are people who are formed into what they are. I mean, Charlie Kirk's a prime example of this. I mean, he was, 17, 18, starting out this stuff. So I don't know. Any thoughts on all this? Like I said, I mean, this is for the purposes mostly of just a plug. I'm Brandon Tatuming it right now. But I figured if we're talking about Candace getting offed, well, perhaps she betrayed the Illuminati and they're coming after her. Any thoughts before we move on to something more?
She's turned face. No, I did see Dana. Yeah, she's got like a 2-hour video that I might try to have to dig into because it does seem pretty interesting.
That was a joke, guys. I was wrong. I believed it. That seemed completely believable, by the way. Sorry, referring to the Josh Hammer Freedom Chats thing earlier. Sorry. All right, moving on. We'll kind of tie this into death squads. And we mentioned this earlier. Let's watch this video right here. Notice how these CIA Tel Aviv station chief doesn't even understand, doesn't even recognize the term timber sycamore. So let's watch this.
I mean, we've interviewed former Israeli prime ministers on this show, and we know that Israel worked with ISIS and Al-Qaeda. There are pictures of Netanyahu on the Golan Heights in a hospital treating Al-Qaeda fighters. So, was that while, did you know about the CIA's involvement with Al-Qaeda and ISIS-Daesh? Of course, now we've seen the head of Al-Qaeda in Syria in the Oval Office with Donald Trump. But were you aware that the CIA and Al-Qaeda worked so closely in Syria together and in Iraq?
You mean CIA and Al-Qaeda worked closely together in Iraq?
And Syria.
And
in Syria to overthrow Assad, of course.
To overthrow Assad and stuff like that. So there were times when, and that was, what year? It was a while ago. But there were times when our covert action would allow us, findings would allow us to go and actually have meetings and talk to the quote unquote enemies to try to bring things down as CIA officers.
Did you meet them? I mean, would you wear a chador?
I did not.
Full face mask and talk to Al-Qaeda?
No. I never met them. No, not during my time there. Did not meet them.
Yeah, timber sycamore. I mean, that's the CIA program, isn't it?
I have never heard that name before. I don't know if it's a real name or if it's something that they have changed since I got it, since I left, but
it's referred to in Congress.
It sounds like one of ours. It sounds like one of ours. Let me just put it that way.
Well, we talked about fake death squads. Well, this lady plays dumb when we talk about real death squads. A real inversion situation here. The real thing they act dumb about, the fake thing they broadcast to the world. Any thoughts on this? Just because it is, we were talking about Syria earlier, and I I know, it's funny. We're talking about real death squad, or talking about death squads, and here's real death squads. Here's how they act when you confront them about real death squads. Keep in mind, this was a CIA station chief in Tel Aviv.
Oh, geez, she was actually station chief.
Yeah, that's at least that's according to Booty right here. Let's look. Now, former CIA Tel Aviv station chief admits the CIA collaborated with Al Qaeda and ISIS in Iraq and Syria. Here's a quote in there that we there were times when our covert action would allow us to go and actually have meetings and talk to the quote unquote enemies to try to bring down as CIA officers, basically describing Timber Sycamore. Then is asked about Timber Sycamore. What? Timber Sycamore? I don't know. There's something there, but that is, it's wild to me. Any thoughts? But either way, just the revelation of just admitting that, and then also have the corresponding not even knowing what Timber Sycamore is. Pretty wild.
Yeah, it sounds like she actually doesn't know, and I would have thought maybe she was just some veteran analyst, because there are a lot of normies in the intelligence community that really don't pay attention to like the parapolitical side, and that. But yeah, if she's a station chief, like that's crazy. Maybe I have to apologize to Cash App. He's actually average as far as like knowing about these types of things.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, I think we'll probably let you go, but we will, kind of to segue into the foreign policy portion, we will be covering the latest drop site news here in a minute. I don't know if you've seen this. I guess I'll read the caption of his little tease before we let you go. It says in 2006, this is Ryan Grimm. In 2006, two academics, John Mearshire and Stephen Walt, wrote a paper called The Israel Lobby, which argued that a loose group of Israel supporters used their connections and financial resources to tilt U.S. foreign policy in Israel's direction. One of them, Stephen Walt, was academic dean of the Harvard Kennedy School, which put him at the pinnacle of his profession. The savage response to the paper was like nothing academia had ever seen. We can now report that Jeffrey Epstein helped coordinate the counterattack with Alan Dershowitz, while Larry Summers was Harvard president. And Les Wexner was one of the largest donors to the Kennedy School, if not the largest. Epstein controlled Wexner's money. In other words, a loose group of powerful supporters of Israel used their financial resources and connections behind the scenes to destroy the reputations of two academics who wrote a paper arguing that a loose group of Israel supporters was using their connections and financial resources to shape American foreign policy, i.e. the video we just watched a moment ago, essentially. The American foreign policy for Israel there. But I know before I let you go, we're going to cover that. I don't know if you have any final thoughts on that. I mean, I don't expect you've covered that yet, but it is kind of wild. We're talking about all these things and kitchen table issues, and you're like, well, here's Jeffrey Epstein, literally manipulating the world stage that inevitably affects our pocketbooks. Or whatever, or wallets or whatever the hell. So any thoughts before I let you go, and then you can drop plugs and we'll get you out of here, bud.
No, I just dropped my plugs. Jose Nino is actually working on an article about that latest bombshell right now. I'm not expecting people to read our coverage. We're more just doing it because we get most of our traffic through email blasts, so we reach a whole another demographic. We're just trying to spread the news to more like the mega boomers. But we do have a number of other great articles, including about everything we talked about today on headlineusa.com.
Hell yeah, well, I appreciate you coming on. It's always a pleasure. We'll definitely get you on again sometime soon. Everyone go check out his work. It's at JD_cashless on Twitter and Headline USA. Appreciate having you on, bud. We'll get you on again here soon for sure. We'll see you.
Appreciate it.
All right, no problem. All right, guys, let's get into this article. Actually, let's say some highs. Let's say some good mornings. We didn't say any good mornings. I'll do maybe like the first, 5-10 minutes in the chat, and then we'll pop to the front. Say our good mornings. Hey, we'll reward you for showing up first. Those of you who did, give you your little dopamine boost. Good morning, Tilla Spook, and good and happy birthday as well. Says it's my birthday, Knickerbockers. Good morning, good morning, good morning, Tom33. Good morning, Robin. Good morning, good morning. I can see the Rumble worked out. Hell yeah, man. I'm glad I was able to salvage that last moment. Good morning, Comment Mama. Good morning. Good morning, River Rat Rips. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Daz. Good morning. Good morning, Podcast Review. Good morning, Tyler. I already said good morning to you. Good morning, Bug Fights. Good morning, JC. Who else we got in here? Did I say good hi to you, Northside? Good morning, Boomer Sooner. Good morning, Tony Chin. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Uncle Ted. It says it's a jolly. Oh, by the way, I saw you the other day talking. It's a jolly on West Ball Watcher. I saw you the other day in the Already Dead. I saw you said something. I think that's what you're referring to about like Wendy or something, that she didn't really lean hard into Jolly West, which I don't know how you got that idea. I read all of Aberration, and she definitely. I remember there being quite a bit of shit, and she definitely, the implication I got that this dude shady as fuck and doing some glowy shit. So I don't know. She didn't say anything she couldn't back up with receipts that I saw. So I don't know what you're talking about particularly. I do know, like, maybe you're referring to that there's always this thrown around claim about confirmations of Jolly West meeting with McVeigh. Now I think she's mentioned it on a podcast before. And I wish I could remember the specific details of the sourcing there or whatever. But that's one of those things. She's just like, I'll at one point publish it in a book, where it's more like she's just, I think, a little more hesitant and just like throw it out and like fuck it up, because when you put it in writing, it's like it's in writing, it's solid. You can't misconstrue it. How you said it's how you said it. So I don't really know what you're getting at, though. She definitely, so she has a claim that he did meet. So I really don't know how someone would come away from Aberration and thinking that, I don't know. I mean, maybe I missed something in there, but, yeah. Good morning, Life Safety Plus. Good morning. And then you asked, did they or did they not truck the Iran-Contra evidence from Little Rock to OKC the week before they switched the rider trucks? I mean, I have never dug in that angle, so I don't know. And I don't know if Ken would know either. I mean, sorry, if I'd seen that, I would have asked him when he was on. My bad. We'll have to figure out we'll have to see if we can get the monetization back or sometime one of these days. All right. Good morning, Shadows in the Cornfield, saying apparently they had to fire multiple times, so they took him out. All right, we've gone further enough. Now it's only updated things. Here's Black Eye. I'll go a few minutes back to say good morning to the most recent people. Good morning, Black Eye. It says, ask Paranoid American. Tom knows everything about Jolly West. Good morning, Charles. Did I have a good morning? Yes. How would you feel if you did not have a good morning? Good morning, King David. Good morning, PJR. Good morning, Chadhead. He's watching on 2X. I should start talking really fast just to fuck with you, just to fuck with Chadhead. He's gonna be like, what the fuck when he gets to this part? Oh my god, blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah, Chadhead, whenever you get up to that, you'll get a good little giggle. Everyone else is like, that was weird. All right, guys, let's get into the latest. Robin wants me to show us Eeyore. No, on guest days, I don't have a cat, because it makes it more awkward when I have to be like, oh, give me a second, I'm gonna go run and go grab a cat behind the scenes real quick. And then I have a guest just sitting there, just staring at the screen like, okay. So a little more awkward. So guests, no kitty today when we have guests. So that's the deal. All right, let's get into the latest in Drop Site's ongoing coverage of the Epstein craziness. This is Jeffrey Epstein aided Alan Dershowitz's attack on Mearsheimer and Walt's Israel lobby. All right, let's get into it. Says in March 2006, the Harvard Kennedy School published a working paper, The Israel Lobby and U.S. Foreign Policy, by influential political scientists like John Mearsheimer and Stephen Walt. The paper, which ran in the London Review of Books and became the basis for a book published the following year, was an unflinching analysis of the impact of pro-Israel advocacy and lobbying groups on the U.S. political system and the role of organizations like the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, that's AIPAC, in shaping U.S. foreign policy toward the Middle East. Mearsheimer and Walt described a loose coalition of philanthropists, think tanks, advocacy groups, and Christian Zionist organizations that routinely pulled U.S. policy toward the Middle East away from America's national interests as the U.S. was being drawn into a military quagmire in Iraq. Other special interest groups have managed to skew U.S. foreign policy in directions they favored, Walt and Mearsheimer wrote, but no lobby has managed to divert U.S. foreign policy as far from what the American national interests would otherwise suggest, while simultaneously convincing Americans that U.S. and Israeli interests are essentially identical. Even before the Kennedy School posted the paper online, the project had already spooked editors of The Atlantic, who originally commissioned the essay in the early 2000s. In an interview with Tucker Carlson earlier this year, Mearsheimer revealed that the editor of The Atlantic offered them a $10,000 kill fee if the publication didn't print the article. Mearsheimer said, "That's the fastest $10,000 we ever made." The paper was written by two highly esteemed scholars of international relations. Walt had been serving since 2002 as academic dean at Harvard's Kennedy School, as prestigious an appointment as exists in the field, and Mearsheimer taught at the University of Chicago. but the backlash against it was swift, intense, and unusually public in the world of academia. A wave of news articles described the authors as anti-Semites, while the ADL weighed in to denounce what they called an anti-Jewish screed. The pressure became so intense that the Kennedy School removed its logo from the paper and added a disclaimer distancing the institution from its arguments. Unknown at the time, Jeffrey Epstein gave feedback on talking points to discredit Mearsheimer and Walt and used his extensive social network to circulate allegations of anti-Semitism against the two scholars. Details of Epstein's role in the backlash to the Israel lobby paper come from a trove of emails obtained by the non-profit whistleblower organization Distributed Denial Secrets and provided to DropSite News. The emails from Epstein's Yahoo account have been covered in part by Bloomberg, but his correspondence over Walt and Mearsheimer's work has not previously been reported. Bloomberg conducted cryptographic verification on the email cache that they said strongly authenticated a portion of the emails, corroborated sources of important enclosures, and found no meaningful evidence of fakery, though evidence suggested that some emails were deleted. The source of the DDoS cache stated that they were not the source of Bloomberg, a statement DDoS said is supported by slight variations in the scope of the email tranche. The cache shows during the first week of April 2006, Epstein received multiple early drafts of an attack piece by Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz titled Debunking the Newest and Oldest Jewish Conspiracy. In it, Dershowitz, who also served as Epstein's defense attorney in his criminal matters, accused Mearsheimer and Walt of recycling discredited trash from neo-Nazi and Islamist websites, accusing them of authoring a modern counterpart to the protocols of the Elders of Zion. Epstein responded to Dershowitz's email, "Terrific, congratulations." A few hours later, Epstein received another message from Dershowitz's email address, signed off by an assistant. The assistant asked email to help circulate copies, or asked Epstein to help circulate copies of the attack piece, writing, "Jeffrey, were you going to distribute this for Alan? If I should forward this to someone in your office, please let me know." Epstein replied in the affirmative, "Yes, I've started." Despite holding no formal role, Epstein was a powerful figure at Harvard. He spent years cultivating relationships at the university, donating more than $9 million between 1998 and 2008, and positioning himself as a fixer and patron for high-profile academics, including Dershowitz and economist Larry Summers, who was the president of Harvard at the time. At the time, Epstein served as trustee and president of the family financial office of billionaire fashion tycoon Leslie Wexner, which donated nearly $20 million to the Kennedy School between 2000 and 2006. The Harvard Gazette described the Wexner Foundation's contributions as underwriting core operating expenses for the school. The foundation also funded a visiting scholar program, the Wexner Israel Fellowship Program, which allowed 10 Israeli government officials to attend the Kennedy School each year for a one-year master's degree. The behind-the-scenes campaign of subversion ironically affirmed the key tenets of the Walt and Mearsheimer paper. In other words, wealthy and well-connected men were deploying their financial resources and connections in order to undercut a paper claiming that wealthy and well-connected men were using their wealth and financial resources for the benefit of the state of Israel and against the interests of the United States. The consequences of a coordinated smear campaign by elite members of media and academia were dire for Mearsheimer and Walt. The Chicago Council on Global Affairs canceled the scheduled talk by the pair in 2007 after pressure from pro-Israel supporters. Other institutions that previously welcomed them to speak now insisted that any appearance be balanced by an opposing speaker who was sympathetic to Israel. The backlash narrowed their platform in mainstream media, academia, and think tanks for years while making public appearances more difficult. In recent years, Mearsheimer has gained a new audience thanks to the profusion of independent media and YouTube channels where he has appeared as a commentator. I'm not surprised to see these emails because Dershowitz and Epstein were close and both have a passionate attachment to Israel, Mearsheimer told DropSite. Walt declined to comment. If you want to read the rest of this piece, you can go catch it on DropSite News. They've been doing amazing work. Ryan Grimm and Murtaza Hussein on this one. Let's keep it moving, get into our foreign policy stuff. Although we kind of already are in foreign policy. This is basically... this was our start of the foreign policy stuff. Jeffrey Epstein taking the lead. But the next story, we're moving back to Venezuela. US B-52 bomber flies near Venezuela for second time within 5 days. So they sent another bomber, and we covered the other day that they're essentially, I guess I don't know if they're technically shutting down commercial flights and like the government's like making them, but they're essentially warning them, and as a result, the private institutions are, if you can call them that, are shutting down flights to that region. So we're getting all sorts of military planes bustling about around there, and we're getting no commercial planes. So it's shaping up to being a wild, shaping up to be a possible quagmire. And then also we have Rand Paul, though, warning against this, saying this will fracture the movement. This is written by Kyle Anzalone over at libertarianinstitute.org, another great source of information. So Senator Rand Paul said that President Donald Trump's warmongering in Latin America could fracture the GOP. I think once there's an invasion of Venezuela, or if they decide to re-up the subsidies and the gifts to Ukraine, I think you'll see a splintering and a fracturing of the movement that has supported the president, Paul told Margaret Brennan on Sunday. I think a lot of people, including myself, were attracted to the president because of his reticence to get us involved in foreign war. Paul has been highly critical of the president ordering strikes on drug boats in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific. The U.S. has destroyed 22 ships, killing at least 83 people. The senator has condemned the strikes as extrajudicial killings. The U.S. is engaged in a massive military buildup in the Caribbean and threatened Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Reports have said the White House is preparing for strikes in Venezuela. Paul appointed Secretary of State and National Security Advisor Marco Rubio for pushing regime change in Caracas. I think it's clear that Senator Rubio, as a senator, was very much an advocate of regime change, he explained. Fractures have already emerged within the MAGA movement over his foreign policy. Obviously, people like Tucker, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who just dropped out, which I didn't even think about at the time, that apparently that's very much likely basically going to completely upset the balance of Republican Democrat. I mean, I think they still need like a couple more, but it basically is kind of it's kind of the thing that pushed over the giant, the kind of last little, kind of that did it, is what it seems like. It's almost inevitable that there'll be a few more. I guess there's been reports too, I think, of some other Republicans, considering not running again. So, which, okay, hey, that's what happens. They don't want to be married to a political loser, essentially. And as the current GOP is formed, they're not really accepting dissent well. So I think a lot of people are just choosing to take the coward's way out and just leave. Not necessarily saying that's what MTG did. She actually was kind of being she was being loud and proud about a lot of this shit on her way out. But I'm talking about the type of people who quietly are against this sort of stuff and let the Rand Pauls, the Masseys, the MTGs, and even the Boberts and like the Nancy Maces taking some of their arrows. But continuing on Venezuela, here's what looks like probably there's actually a Florida congresswoman. Let's see the crazy sort of shit that we're hearing from these people about what's supposedly going on in Venezuela and why we need to invade. Seems pretty erratic to me. Let's watch this.
So we know, we have information that maybe the top echelon of the military forces in Venezuela may be with Maduro, and they're going to flee with him. But the middle and lower ranks are with the opposition. We're talking about that this is going to be very similar to Panama. That I was there, I was a news reporter, and I remember when the Marines were walking in and the Panamanian girls were asking them to marry them. Yeah. I think it's very similar.
Yeah, no, I remember well. I was there in just after it kind of bled into 1990. It started in late December of 1989, bled into 1990. And I went in January, and it was remarkable how receptive the Panamanians were to the change. And it's been a relatively peaceful country since. But the transition. Correct. I mean, Maria is a wonderful woman, the opposition leader. She's fantastic. But how will that transition take place? Will there be a snap election after he flees, or what?
Well, she has and I have spoken to her extensively. They have a 100-day plan that they have shared with the White House. They are prepared. She knows what she's doing. I mean, they have been at this for 25 years. Like I said, 90% of the Venezuelan people, plus the 8 million Venezuelans who have fled, they want to come back. This is going to be a very major success and a success story, not only for them, but for us. And I salute President Trump for having the fortitude, the courage, the political vision to be doing this, because Maduro is the head of a transnational criminal organization. Yeah. Maduro is not the legitimate president of the country. So we're not in invading a sovereign country that has a free and fair elected democratic president. No, this guy is a thug, and he's good friends with Hezbollah. They are giving uranium to Hamas and to Iran and to North Korea and to Cuba and to Nicaragua. Come on, it's time for the United States to do what we need to do. And thank God that Trump is doing it. And I'm telling you that these people, the Venezuelans, have the largest reserves of oil in the world, more than Saudi Arabia. We're talking about this is going to be a windfall for us when it comes to fossil fuels.
Well, and again, it's the actual transition that a lot of Americans are a little wary about, because the fact that regime change always has unintended consequences.
Well, did you guys catch some of the claims in there? For example, she's talking about Maduro giving uranium to Hamas. And he's saying that the Venezuelan girls will ask invading U.S. troops to marry them. Just absolute batshit stuff. There'll be pussy and oil, guys. And if not, they'll nuke us. So go get that pussy and oil, or else we'll get nuked and our politicians will be blackmailed. This is what we're fighting for, guys. Some sweet Latina booty. That's the angle there. Hey, it's a little bit smarter than some of the angles they've been going through. Well, I don't know what they're telling these guys they're getting. Some land. I guess that's enough for them. Israeli forces have likely killed more than 100,000 Palestinians, I guess, for some land. I don't even think it's for Nuki. But anyways, we're having the latest report from the Max Planck Institute for Demographic Research. This is what they are assuming: more than 100,000 people killed, and I believe that's without even including secondary effects. We have the UN condemning torture in a landslide vote, but then Israel opposes the resolution. I believe we did as well. So let's read this. Israel and the U.S., which I gotta say, this is from MEM Middle East Monitor. I do find it weird. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but it's odd they didn't say Israel and U.S. oppose resolution. But here you go. Israel and the U.S. have come under fire after voting against a UN resolution reaffirming the absolute prohibition of torture. The vote held during the 80th session of the General Assembly last week saw 169 nations support the measure. Only 3 states opposed: the U.S., Israel, and Argentina. Oh, wow, that's a funny one, that last one, Argentina. Oh, the great bastion of libertarianism, Javier Milei over there. Supporting torture. That's great. The resolution reaffirms the absolute prohibition of torture under international law and renews calls of all states to prevent torture, aid victims, and hold perpetrators accountable. Well, the thing is, Javier Milei is not that he's against torture. He's just against the state doing torture. He just wants some private torture. That's what it is. Although, to be fair, not really, though, because even then we're doing the HOPA thing, where then you got to go, well, what would be the proper amount of torture in a free society? Since we have a state, we have to kind of approximate it. What would if we kind of roughly democratize what people think? How much torture do you think they would want in an actual free society? That's the sort of logic going on there. Anyways, yeah, I know, roll my eyes anytime Milei comes up these days. The Israeli government's vote against the resolution comes amid extensive documentation of its use of torture, particularly against Palestinians. Human rights groups, including B'Tselem and Human Rights Watch, have long accused Israel of subjecting detainees to beatings, stress positions, sleep deprivation, and other coercive tactics, often targeting minors. The Public Committee Against Torture in Israel has recorded hundreds of complaints, most of which are closed without investigation. UN documents and testimonies confirm that Palestinian prisoners, including children, are frequently held without charge, under administrative detention, interrogated without legal counsel, and subjected to solitary confinement and abuse. The resolution reiterates that no one shall be subjected to torture or other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment, and it affirms as a non-derogable right under international law, even during armed conflicts or states of emergency. It also calls on states not to transfer individuals to countries where they may face torture, a point particularly salient given Israel's practice of detaining Palestinians in facilities inside Israel in violation of the Fourth Geneva Convention. Israel's opposition sparked an online backlash. 3 countries, the U.S., Israel, and Argentina vote against a UN General Assembly resolution aimed at preventing and ending this use of torture, said Professor Mark Kirsten in a tweet with over 4 million views. These resolutions used to be adopted unanimously. What does it say when these states oppose any opposition to torture? So yeah, not a good look. Not a good look at all. And then it sounds like, let's read this together and we'll kind of figure it out together. But it sounds like maybe Steve's doing a little bit of mob shit over in the White House. I'm not sure. Let's read this together. This is over Dave DeCamp over antiwar.com. White House backs Steve Witkoff after leak of his call with Putin advisor. So let's see, what exactly did he do? What outrage are we dealing with? The White House has backed President Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, after Bloomberg received a recording of a call he held with Yuri Ushakov, an aide to Russian President Vladimir Putin. A transcript of the call held on October 14th shows Witkoff and Ushakov discussing an upcoming phone call between Trump and Putin. Witkoff suggests that Putin should congratulate Trump on the Gaza ceasefire deal and discuss a similar 20-point plan for Ukraine. That is interesting. Hey, Steve, I agree with you that he will congratulate. He will say that Mr. Trump is a real peace man and so, Ushakov told Witkoff. 2 days later, Putin and Trump spoke by phone the day before Trump hosted Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House. I do think a side point, and we mentioned this earlier when we had Ken on, I do think it's interesting to remember the sort of connections Epstein had with Putin, and by extension, Israel had with Russia. Despite the fact Russia does seem to tend to position itself as a kind of a little bit provocative with Israel, but I don't know. It almost seems like a little bit of a put on, especially knowing some of the things we know behind the scenes. So, and then now we're seeing that's like they're basically trying to make this, trying to duplicate the Gaza deal, but with Ukraine, I don't know, a little weird. Let's keep moving. When asked for comment on the report, White House Communications Director Stephen Chung told Bloomberg, "The story proves one thing. Special Envoy Witkoff talks to officials in both Russia and Ukraine nearly every day to achieve peace, which is exactly what President Trump appointed him to do." Journalist Glenn Greenwald, known for his reporting on the Snowden leaks that revealed extensive surveillance programs run by the National Security Agency, noted on X that it was likely that the Witkoff-Ushakov call was leaked by the NSA. Bloomberg also obtained a recording of a call between Ushakov and Kirill Dmitriev, another of Putin's advisors. It says, who is eavesdropping on Steve Witkoff's calls with Russian officials to end the war in Ukraine, then leaking them to Bloomberg? Greenwald wrote next, it's the same thing the NSA did to Michael Flynn when he was negotiating with Russian officials. It's the most serious leaking crime in the U.S. Code. In another post, Greenwald added that NSA was using its powers not for what they're intended, spying on foreign adversaries, but instead spying on American citizens and American officials, then leaking their conversations to sabotage the elected president's policies. So, and yeah, I actually agree, kind of come to the, I don't know. I guess, obviously there's some things I side-eye there about what Witkoff is doing behind the scenes. You need to suck off Trump about his handling of Gaza, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, there's diplomacy occurring, and these are, they're trying to come to an agreement to be hey, we want this war to dial down. So it is does seem like some duplicitous shit, some messed up stuff portrayed as some sort of endeavor for truth or justice, when in fact it's, not that. So what it looks like here, leaking, spying on him, leaking this information in an unfavorable way. For example, we don't have the whole back and forth of all this. There could have been a whole lot of other stuff that made him look better, as opposed to this one little line that kind of made him look a little grimy. So yeah, obviously I'm none too pleased with really any of these characters, but this does seem like some deep state shenanigans. I guess against the deep state, because I do think that's basically at that point that is essentially what Trump is basically is. He's part of the permanent establishment, or at least moving in lockstep, it seems like. Moving on to the last story today, we have U.S. troops fighting ISIS militants on the ground in Somalia's Puntland region. So this has escalated quickly. We just talked about yesterday about how they finally got to, and I guess they must have, I don't know if they've been watching this show or what, if they're oh shit, Jose was saying how dope it was that we hit such a high score. I should be more careful with my words. I thought it was pretty obvious I was being incredibly sarcastic, because now not only have we hit triple digits on airstrikes in Somalia, not only that, now they're on the ground doing special forces ground raids. So yeah, let's break this down together. This is from Dave DeCamp again over antiwar.com. So a whole other level, it seems like. We're doing some Rambo shit now. I'll be honest. I remember I looked into this story a little bit earlier today. It sounded pretty fucking cool. I'm not gonna lie. Sounded like some cool video game shit. But big picture, like, hey, maybe we shouldn't just be blowing up, third worlders over in Somalia. I don't know. Maybe this isn't the path to our children having a better future. But let's get into this. U.S. Special Operations Forces were involved in a joint raid with local forces in Somalia's northeastern Puntland region that involved an attack on a cave and ground fighting against ISIS militants. A Garau online and media outlet based in Puntland reported on Tuesday. See, doesn't that sound cool? Like, sounds like a cool ass like Call of Duty mission or something. So the report said that but these are real people. The report said that according to U.S. Africa Command, the attack on the Bajuki Cave in the Balade Valley, an area where the U.S. has launched airstrikes in recent days, was supported by 10 helicopters. So far, AFRICOM has not put out a press release confirming its involvement in the operations. The Garau report said that forces and the helicopters landed on the ground and executed the mission following a confrontation between U.S. troops and members of Somalia's ISIS affiliate. It said the operation lasted several hours and resulted in the capture and killing of several ISIS fighters. The report didn't say if there were casualties among the U.S. troops or the Puntland security forces. In the Kalmascad area, high-value ISIS targets were struck in a joint air and ground operation carried out by Puntland's U.S. partners supporting the ongoing mission. Further details will be shared in due course. The Puntland counterterrorism operation said on X. The U.S. has supported local forces in Puntland since the U.S.-backed federal government, which is based in Mogadishu, doesn't control the region. The Puntland government has come under criticism recently over reports the UAE has been shipping weapons to an airbase in Puntland to Sudan to arm the RSF, which has been accused of committing genocide and recently committed massacres against civilians after it took the city of El Fasher in Sudan's western Darfur region. According to a report from Middle East Eye, the U.S. has also been using the airbase, which is the port city of Bosaso, to support its military operations in Somalia. The U.S. has dramatically ramped up airstrikes in Somalia this year, launching at least 100 so far, including attacks on ISIS in Puntland and al-Shabaab in southern and central Somalia. According to local media reports, a suspected U.S. airstrike in the town of Jamame in southern Somalia's Jubaland region killed 12 civilians, including 8 children. The strike occurred earlier this month as the U.S. was backing government forces in major battles against al-Shabaab. All right, guys, we're all caught up. We're all good. We're all done. We're all done for the day. We're done with foreign policy. We're gonna get out of here. I have a fun outro for you guys though, but we'll roll through the chat one more time. Say hi. I think I went too far back. Oh, there we go. I'm good now. Let's roll through the chat. Say a little highs, buys, that sort of thing. Maybe there's some sort of questions in there. And then we'll get out. We're ending a little early today, but I do have a longer outro today that you guys I think will enjoy. Oh, by the way, no, I didn't feel like it needed to be mentioned, but I will mention it now. I don't think I'm going to do a morning dump tomorrow. I mean, if there is, I guess sound off in the chat. I mean, if you want to, if I were to do a morning dump tomorrow at 11 a.m. or the normal time or something, would you guys actually watch? Like, and if there's enough of you guys, I guess maybe I would, but like, cause I'll be doing nothing around that time. So I'll be available. I think I've told you guys about, the deal with Thanksgiving in this household. Like, my kiddo's grandma and their uncle and their aunt all died right around this time. So it's a little bit of a sore time. So we don't really do anything for Thanksgiving. It's kind of become that's kind of gone by the wayside. It's been a little bit tainted. So, they've actually got plans hanging out with friends and stuff, the kiddos. So, I have plenty of time. So if that's something you guys would be interested in, but I figured, hey, everyone's doing Thanksgiving. I'll just find some other things to do, maybe do some errands or something, or do, some projects around the house. But yeah, if you guys really are clamoring for another morning dump, let me know. Maybe I'll consider doing one, but otherwise I should be back on Monday. Or not Monday, on Friday, because it'll be back Friday. Black Friday. All right, let's roll the chat, and then we'll get out of here and play this dope ass outro that you'll like. All right. Gerald saying, "Just kiss the wall, Jose. What is your problem? You're a bigot." Oh, nine name TV. Says, "Hi, hello. I just farted in my diaper, and the way the baby powder poofed out the back reminded me of the white phosphor attacks in Fallujah, Iraq, 2004. Semper Fi Marines, we fought well. Well, it's nice to have you in there. It's the first time I've seen your name in the chat. Nice having you joining us. Nene, or however you pronounce it. PJR says, me like AI friend. Me, I ask AI many things about rocks and cheese and Cocoa Puffs. AI tell me Cocoa Puffs niggers. Me not like Cocoa Puffs. Okay. All right. Shadows in the Cornfield says, they don't torture to make people talk. They torture to make them shut up or change what they're saying, like in 1984. Exactly. Marmax says, I know I always like it when I'm being tortured for it to be privatized. I mean, who doesn't? Yeah. Who else do we got in there? Oh, yikes. Shadows in Cornfield says, if they want info, they'll go straight for the genitals. They may not get the truth, but they'll get something. Yeah. All right. Appreciate the repost, Silence. Thank you. Thank you. Black Eye says, great show today. Thank you. PGR says he's down tomorrow. Okay. All right. Well, maybe. I mean, I guess a lot of people watch the show while they're doing other stuff. So, and I guess we do have surprisingly a decent amount of ladies in the chat. So I guess you should be cooking. That's what you're supposed to be doing. We see Martin Max saying, yes, I'd watch while I'm preparing my feast. Okay, perhaps. Maybe I will. We'll see what pops out in the news cycle. There's also just it's kind of died down a little bit. So we'll see if there's enough for a show tomorrow. So I see a few people saying they'll show up. So okay. All right. Perhaps I'll do it. I'm torn on it. But all right, guys, we're all caught up in the chat. Oh, here's Mustache. He says, my bad, Shadow. Didn't realize you were joking yesterday, but the Muslim bad Jew thing was in a staff meeting. Came back, saw the comment without context, and my Jewtism kicked in. Yeah, I don't even think Shadow caught that in the already dead chat yesterday. I did. I thought it was funny. But yeah, anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you guys want to support what I'm doing, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. You can find this show on YouTube, Rumble, all the major audio podcatchers. You can find it on Twitter as well at Tower Gang Jose. And then also, if you want to support the show in the best way you can do that with money over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. You can see that right there. There's a QR code for those people that watch it on Rumble or YouTube. You can go to that QR code right there. Otherwise, just type in the tippy tap the old patreon.com/NoWayJose2020, and you get a whole host of perks at the lowest level of $2. You get access to early episodes. You usually do about 1 to 2 episodes per week. Usually keep about 4 episodes behind the paywall at any given time. You also get access to ad-free RSS feed. You get access to Telegram, and you get access to pre-show, post-show, and the video calls. Me and Austin's weekly live call-in show. Already Dead, which is on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And then also give a big shout out to the highest level of my Patreon, which is my sponsors. It's a big thank you for their support. I'm my previous co-host on Tower Gang at Learner Toad, also at Abrogate Deeds, at ZLVRCK, at _Infinite Zeal, Tim Tuttle, at Jolly and Klebo, big fan of the show, Torme, at Wayne Tackless, 1-800-CAR for Kids, No Free Lunch, Jack, Mark Vestibule, and Jacob Winograd of the Biblical Anarchy Podcast. With that, guys, we're going to get out of here. I hope you guys... Oh, what the fuck? I just realized my outro just disappeared. Second, let me find it again. I don't know where it went. I think... Oh, there it is. Found it. All right, you guys will enjoy this. I know you guys will love this outro. This is just beautiful. This is Toad on the Uke. This is a classic. This is Coheed and Cambria. I hope you all enjoy it. I will see you guys maybe tomorrow on Thanksgiving, 11 a.m. Eastern. Perhaps Friday. We'll see. Play it by ear. Next week, I will be working Monday, Tuesday, so it will just be a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday morning dump. Maybe I'll pick up a weekend. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, enjoy this outro. See you all maybe Thursday, maybe Friday. Love you all. Bye-bye.
So until the sun burns out, I'll be waiting, and I'll be waiting. Listen, well, will you marry me? Are you willing to suffering you bear? The most gracious of most you may be invited, girl, but you're not coming in. Listen, well, will you marry me? Are you willing to suffering you bear? The most gracious of most I may be invited, girl, but I'm not coming in. Listen, well, will you marry me? Are you willing to suffering you bear? The most gracious of most you may be invited, girl, but you're not coming in. Listen, well, will you marry me? Are you willing to suffering you bear? The most gracious of most I may be invited, girl, but I'm not coming in. And you're not coming in.
That was beautiful. That was like medicine for the soul. All right, love you guys. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.